Greetings, geeks and geek girls. It is me. I'm back. Said it again. I'm keeping that in. Uh, Said it before. Say it again. I freaking love this show. It's so crazy and ridiculous, and I love it. Though this also was kind of a bit of a bittersweet episode, but we'll get to that. Before we do, though, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Then tell me what you think. Comments down below. I actually really did like this. Don't know why I said actually, because the show's really good. Like, I hate to say it, but part of me is thinking that maybe, just maybe, it might be like Doctor Who levels, because this season of Doctor Who hasn't been the greatest. But anyway, that's, even though they're both time travel, it's like comparing apples and oranges, so I won't. So I will just start my recap. Like I said, spoilers. So we open up and we see the containment area built for the magical creatures that the Bureau collects. And we see that it's a cold prison with everyone in there, including their newest, and according to Ava, deadliest inmate, Nora Dark. And, of course, little cinnamon roll, because she is, Mona tries to immediately befriend all of them. Ava tells her no, they're prisoners. Then we see Ava at her desk. It's her we find out that it's her birthday. And we find that out by Captain Lance coming in for a secret little work rendezvous. She even has the trench coat and lingerie. Katie Lutz looking very... I'll just stop there. Anyway, before they can actually do anything, Hank shows up, Nate's dad, and he's causing a fuss about the legends and their budget. He says a dick move, though. He pulls a dick move and says that they had to replace a time core, and it's like, what happened to the original? And Ava tells him that the original was destroyed when Rip used it to save all of time, sacrificing his life. And his response is, it sure was a sacrifice that cost this amount of money. Dickhead! Dude died! And depending on how this goes, I think this death might stick. Or at least for this season. So, shut the fuck up! I really did not like Biff this episode. Yes, I'm gonna switch between calling him Hank and Biff. Because he's forever Biff in my head. But also, I'm trying to call him Hank, because that's the name of his character. So I'm sorry. If you hear me say Biff or Hank, they're the same guy. So, after that, Hank is talking to his son, and decides to do a surprise, inspection. luckily, due to Sarah being there and being hidden, she knows about it, so she runs and tells the team. And so when he gets there, the team's late, but they're ready, and they're trying to avoid Nate and Hank going to the lab because that's where Charlie is, and they don't know how to explain Charlie to Hank or Nate because it looks like a Maya, she looks like a Maya, and Hank because she is a fugitive. So they try to avoid it, and hijinks ensue. We find out that Constantine has taken over Nate's spot, the library. We'll get into that later. Why the sigh? And they eventually find her, but they lie to Hank and say that she's a Maya. Which, of course, he gives a quip about her appearance, which, fuck you, again. Like I said, I did not like Hank this episode, for a lot of it. So they decide to take him on a mission, so he can see them in action, and they go to France, 1927, and so they end up running into Hemingway. Hemingway. I don't know why I was blanking on his name. They end up running into Hemingway, who apparently is an idol of Hank. So they smooth and all that, and they find out that there's a monster, so they go to investigate. Nate wants to go in and do research and be his own and do what the legends do. Go back to the ship, or at least what the legend did when he was still on there. Where he'd go back to the ship and go through the library and find out what the hell's going on. Well, I just realized that I'm explaining everything, so it would take forever, and I'm trying to speed this up, trying to do more faster reviews so I can get them to you quicker. But, so, for the rest of this, I'll sum it up. They decide, no, screw it, fuck it. We're gonna go Hank, Hemingway, and Mick. Mick is getting along with Hemingway a lot. Like, he even pulls out his heat gun, and Hemingway's like, signature weapon. I can respect that. He's like, I need an assistant. And it's like, and Sarah goes along with them, partly to watch over them, and partly to please Hank so that he can continue to fund them. Which, by the way, just quick little gripe, meaningless little gripe. But in season 1, they established that Gideon fabricates the costumes. So how could there be a costume budget if she fabricates the costumes for them? Maybe it's the stuff to pay for the fabrication? I don't know. Maybe it's just a gag line of them not remembering their history. Anyway, so they go in, find the Minotaur, because they find out that, of course, it's a Minotaur, because, of course, this is the Daddy's Issue episode, so, of course, you need the Minotaur. And the Minotaur attacks Hank. They take him back to the ship to get him healed. Meanwhile, while that's going on, Nate and Charlie bond some, with the Fitzgeralds, and they find out about the Minotaur, and Charlie tells them the real story of the Minotaur, and so they figure out what to do. They group together, they figure out what the plan is, and so they go in, and the plan is for John to distract it with musk of a female Minotaur, and then Nate to go in and play a lute to soothe the beast. And so they go to do that, and it almost works, if not for Hemingway trying to shoot at it and shocking it out of it, knocking the lute, breaking it, and so then they try to fight it. Nate steals up for once, and for maybe last. Like I said, we'll get into that. And tries to take on the beast, even though he can all by himself, steeled up, stop a train, he can't survive being choked by a Minotaur. Anyway, still, I freaking love this show. They stop the Minotaur by Hank singing to it. And the day is saved and everything happens. Meanwhile, just really quick, want to point this out. There was a cool little powwow stuck in a room together of Nora, Mona, and Ava. Wow, didn't even realize that. They all ended their names. And so they have a good powwow. They drink some wine together. They eat some birthday cake. It's really awesome, and I'd go into more explanation, but this video is going on for too long. I freaking loved it. I could watch a whole show with just the three of them, even though I freaking love everyone in this show, which is why it's so sad, because at the end, basically Nate says goodbye. I've been hinting at it this whole entire time. Nate gives a speech about leaving, and basically it's kind of said here that officially now Nate has left the Wave Rider. It's unclear yet if Nick Zano is leaving the show or not, or if he's just taking on a smaller role, like a reoccurring, like Ava last season, or if we're going to see him every episode with Gary and maybe Ava and maybe Mona. It's unclear at this point, but I do know that the actor has unfortunately faced some hard times. Like Jack's actor, he had a baby, and I believe he lives in Canada, but unfortunately the baby had some complications and needed surgery, so that's why he's been off filming without the other team, without the main cast, just him, Gary, and Ava, because that's an actual set that he can go to, that's near home, that he can film at, and then when he's free, and then they can skirt that into other times he doesn't have to go to the extenuous locations for the different time periods. Unlike what I'm noticing, a general population, I actually really like Nate, and I like his whole nerding out about the history that they're in. I didn't care for his ship with Amaya, and if he is truly gone from the show, or at least backstepping to reoccurring, I am sad to see him go. And I hope that maybe if this show lasts, that he could show back up in like maybe a season 5, season 6. Because I really want this show to last. Because I love this show. I really do. And I love everyone a part of it. Even the lesser people. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to say it, but Ray pulls this awesome, like, romantic, nerdy, dorky move in this episode, and I really loved it. Constantine was just like a little bit of a fixture in this episode, but he was still awesome. Mona was a bright star, new star to this cast that I think she will fit right in. And I love everyone in the show, so please support this show, everybody. I'm finally done. Even though I wanted this to be short, it's probably still going to be extremely long. Sorry about that. Join me tomorrow for Black Lightning. This week I will actually be doing it. But thank you guys for watching this video. Till next time, and beyond.